Hey, Life Group leaders. Hope you're all good. Welcome to our podcast. Jokes. Well, we thought we're going to do things a little differently. So instead of us calling another meeting in the week, we thought, why don't we take an opportunity for us to share a little bit about some of the things that we need to communicate with you as leaders, but really to share the heart behind some of the stuff that we need to communicate, but then also to be able to back up what we want to say in a document that we'll provide for you, which allows you to have space to digest what we're communicating and just have time to process and also to talk about it. So we're going to speak about a few things. I'm going to list them up front so you know what's happening, that you can also factor in that this will be longer than just a 2-minute video. So number one, we're going to give you an update on where our groups are at the moment. It's important for you as leaders to know that. Number two, we're going to speak about some admin and to see how admin can help you as a life group leader. And number three, we want to talk about some of the hearts behind why we are putting and integrating some of the systems into our groups. And then lastly, we want to clarify, number four, our leader appointment process. So you ready? Let's do this. So let's talk number one, and Roseanne's going to do that.
Cool. Number one is that we want to celebrate and give a bit of an update on what's been happening in our life groups. We have been thrilled to see both the health and the growth in our groups. Aside from the 10 teenage groups that we have 62 adult groups and over 600 people in life groups. But far more important than the numbers, we've had great feedback on having the benefit of a coach coming alongside our leaders to support, encourage, and connect with them about the questions that they have. Our huddles and the one-on-ones form the basis of the connection, together with other informal interactions. So we are so grateful for our coaches for the support that they provide. And healthy leaders mean healthy groups. We would like to introduce you to a number of our new group leaders that are starting new groups. And as part of our culture of encouragement and celebrating what God is doing in groups, we have Tash Bester and Tracy Idis starting a new group. Then Tanya Weingard is starting a group, and so is Wayne Josias. So we're really pumped to see the growth in groups.
Well done, guys.
We're also excited about a few more groups that are in the pipeline as groups get ready to multiply by sending out some leaders.
So it's really exciting to see what God is doing, and we're believing for the much more. So number two, let's talk about some admin. And I said to Roseanne, my name came down here, I said, what a joke. I'm not going to talk about admin. No. So Roseanne can update us about some of the admin stuff, which is here to help us as leaders.
Cool. So number two, admin. Admin is essential to making groups work well. It speaks really to our ability to steward the new people that God is giving us, as well as the resources that we have. And the good news is that our Church Center app really can help make admin a breeze. So first and foremost, the names of the people that are in your group on our Church Center app should represent the people that are actually participating in your group. And the app allows you also to do things like take attendance. You can also delegate that to someone in your group if that's not a skill that you have and don't want to have. But it will help you as a leader see, so this is what the pattern looks like. This particular person might be coming maybe a few less times than I thought. Maybe we need to touch base. Maybe work or home is hectic. Maybe there are ways that we can support. Maybe they're bored with our group. Maybe you need to have a conversation. But then there's some other functionality that's really, really helpful. First of all, the life group notes are also available on the app. Please, leaders, we really want your groups to be able to prepare for life group, to be able to access the notes before the time so that they bring themselves in that conversation, making group a dynamic space, making relevant contributions. So the app is a brilliant way for people to access the notes. They're also on our website as well. Then there are other things that you can do. You can post communication on that app as well. You can schedule events, things like the group is meeting on the 19th of September for the prayer encounter. So we're not planning to meet that week. We're meeting at the church. We also might be having a social in the first week of the term. So there are lots of things that you can do with the app. You can even communicate with a group to cancel the evening if, for instance, there's a reason, and you might even put that there. Some groups are more than happy to work with their WhatsApp groups. Please feel free to do so, but there is some functionality. You need to do what works for your group, but we'd love for you to use the attendance feature in particular.
So what we want you to do is go please check on the app of who's in my group and actually that it corresponds with that is on the app. see if the data is correct. And so if someone is missing, please let us know and we can add them. If someone is no longer in the group but is still on the app, please let us know. We can change it. If you need help about the app, I'm sure there's someone in your huddle that you can ask. If someone in your huddle or your coach doesn't know what to do, Justin will gladly we will gladly help you in what to do. Also, we're going to provide you with our third term quarterly report. And to keep things interesting, it's not the same as the previous quarterly report. It's a little bit more focused. So please do complete that. And we're asking that you do it by Thursday, the 19th of November, which is also our prayer meeting day.
Cool. Next up is number 3, group allocations. Now, you know that we've been allocating a load of people to groups. If your group has had capacity, we've probably added some people to your group. And it's been really, really exciting, but we've also heard you. It's also been somewhat disruptive. When a new person joins a group, you just start covering the basics with them, getting into a rhythm. Then another new person signs up and they join the group. And so we go. So you're constantly shifting. And the time that you taking to bring somebody into the life of a group is really, really important. So we think we need to adapt some things here. So we want you to listen up to some of the changes we're making. Rather than feed people into groups consistently, we believe that it is best that we're able to on-ramp people into your group at the beginning of a term. So that means that your group has the opportunity to absorb those new people and then work from a common foundation. Then, when we're ready, if we're launching a brand new group, we won't wait till the start of a term. We can do that during a term. But if we're adding individuals, we would prefer to do that at the beginning of a term. And it's because it comes from a place of being convinced that there's only one way to do life, and that's together. Because we know that it's in authentic, loving community. There's no better place for us to grow on our journey and becoming more like Jesus. We really want people to get into group. And we want to do it in a way that helps them and you as a group to do this the best.
And that really is the heart. But a question that we often get asked, and you might be thinking about this, is can I, as a life group leader, can I just invite someone to my group, or does the office need to do it? Do they allocate? And so we thought it's a good way to actually communicate and to share how we are doing the process. And so group leaders, please hear me. You are welcome to invite people into your group, but we want you to hear firsthand what we communicate when we inviting people to the church. And you say, why? Not to the church, to life groups. You say, why? It's because we need to be on the same page in our communication. And so this is what we are communicating. So obviously, as Roseanne said, it's the heart to be in groups and to be a part of that. And if people say that Edge Church is a spiritual home, they're committed to staying and being in this church, we're saying life group is a next step. But one of the questions that we ask is, have you done the Welcome Home Dinner? Have you done Discipleship 101? And so we're saying these are great steps to take before you get into a life group. We say, why? Because we want them to be committed to this house and to your group. We don't want people just to come and go. We want them to hear what the culture is of the church from Discipleship at Welcome Home 101. We want them to understand the context of group and what happens in Discipleship 101. So that's really important that you understand some of the things, and then there are other things that we communicate in as well.
Yeah, some of the people just really are new. They have no clue about what a group is, how it functions. We also have people that come from other churches, and their previous church group might have functioned very differently to here. So we're quite intentional about explaining exactly what we mean. And it really does help manage expectations. And so we want you to know what we tell them. We say that Life Group is a community of probably 8 to 12 people. They're gender-specific groups that meet weekly, typically between Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it's during school terms. A group is facilitated by a leader and possibly a co-leader. So it's not just a hang-loose group. It's actually a facilitated group where people have the opportunity to connect around curriculum, to engage in stimulating discussions about the Bible and its application to our lives. It's also where we care for each other in community, we enjoy friendship with one another, and everybody participates in the group by contributing through discussion, prayer support, as well as practical things like bringing eats, hosting, etc. So we want them to hear quite clearly that
Yep.
group is a place where you get to connect with others, you get to care for each other, and it's a place to grow together. It helps manage expectations. It's not just the leader cares for me, we care for one
Yep.
another, and we grow together by investing in preparing for group, all those good things. We also tell them that we typically integrate new people into groups at the start of a term. And then we ask them 3 questions, and that'll help us place them. We ask them about their commitment to Edge
Yeah.
Church, what nights of the week they're available, and their preferred age group. And that's how we communicate with them.
And that's what's happening at Welcome Home 101. We're communicating that. It'll be up on the website. So we all are saying the same thing. And so that, we're not disappointing or like we said, there's a lack of expectation of what to expect. And sometimes it's so unrealistic what is expected. And so it's good that we are communicating from the same page. Also, another thing is that we work with what's called a workflow system. And this really helps us to track where people are and in the process and the conversation. You can hear how many people are in group and you can see the growth that's happening in the church. And so it's really important. And this is the only way we can steward and be responsible for the amount of people. So we have a variety of incoming people on the one side that we need to now consider, where do we allocate them, where do we place them? And then on the other side, and this is where you as leaders come in and really help us, we need to know whether or not you have capacity in your group. So we've got all these people, now we need to understand, well, who can go and where can they go? And so your data, and this is why the heart of why we're really asking you to look at this app and how you do it so we can access it, is so that we can do the good and wise time investment in allocating people effectively.
I think what's also critical in this whole process is that when you as a leader have agreed to add somebody to your group, that we need you to do 2 things. And each of those things has a turnaround time so that we don't leave people dangling.
This is really important.
It is. It's about loving people well. It's about people that are enthusiastic
Pumped
to join a group, actually hearing from somebody. And when they don't hear from us, they get easily disappointed. So we want you to do a couple of things. The first is that when you make contact with them, please invite them to your group within 4 days of us having this conversation. If we send you their details, we know you've got busy lives, we know that you've got lots going on, but we really think that 4 days is feasible for most of us. So within 4 days, you make contact and invite them to your group. We also want you, once they've been to your group, to confirm that they've actually joined the group. Rather than somebody who paid a visit and disappeared, we want you within 2 weeks of that initial contact to come back to us and to tell us, yes, this person has actually connected with our group. And then we will make sure that they're included in all your stats, attendance, everything else, and they're on Planning Center.
Yeah. Okay. Then lastly, number 4, I hope you're still with us and you haven't got rid of the video, is we need to speak about our leader appointment process. It is so important that we equip you as leaders as effectively as we can. And so to this end, we do have a life group training team. So I'll introduce you and so that you know who they are. It is Joy, Jason, and Justin. So 3 J's, and then we have Roseanne, and they are our life group leaders training team. Now, people are more than welcome to come and join on the training. And whether this is for you as a leader, you're saying, hey, I need you to do a refresher, I've been leading a group for a while, it'll be good for me, or the possibility of exploring new leaders. So whether it's new leaders or co-leaders, it is a space where you have a training, get more context of what it means to lead a group, and then to consider next steps. So leaders and co-leaders, we encourage you to involve others in your group. Anyone can apprentice. That's what it's important to understand. Anyone can. And that's why we say we give some time and tips in the guide, and it's a great guidebook that you get on how you can help them set up to facilitate a conversation in response to a question. Also, like involving your group and be observant, engage. How did they find this? And giving feedback about what they observed. This is people in the training, encouraging what they did well in, acknowledging maybe where things didn't go too well, because we all know as leaders, sometimes we have this great idea of how our group's going to go. We plan it and then it just falls flat. And then also just encourage, we can laugh about that. That happens to all of us. And so it's great to be able to invite others to apprentice on this journey.
I mean, while anybody can apprentice, and we would encourage people to engage in that process, there is a specific appointment process that we have for leaders, and there are essentially 3 key role players. Firstly, we want you as the life group leader to identify potential leaders in your group. And then it is the coach that affirms that, and then the life group office appoints. And we're going to break this down a bit for you. So if one of your apprentices, you think maybe that person is ready to take the next step into leading, we want you to process that with your coach. There's an art to making the ask and closing the deal. And when we actually go through this in the life group leaders training, we want you to connect with those leaders, clarify that it's exploratory, suggest the training where they can be equipped, that they can make an informed decision about whether they want to pursue this. They can do the training, and if they do choose to pursue it, they actually get to complete a questionnaire. That questionnaire also helps them process whether this is something that they want to commit to. And that questionnaire gets submitted to the coach. The coach then engages with them. They process a couple of the questions. And then if the coaches are keen to appoint them, then they would actually engage with the life group office about that leader. And it's in that space that the life group office actually perhaps gives a bit of perspective. Are you aware that this person might be serving in multiple areas? Do they actually have capacity for it? Perhaps it's a conversation about timing. And most times we actually say, let's do this. But it is the space where when there are multiple people involved in the process, we have the mind of Christ. Scripture talks about plurality in decision making. We do this together. None of us operate as an island. And it is only then that the life group office appoints. We really don't want leaders just to slide into roles. We actually want to do them the honor of appointing them, recognizing them, and also celebrating them.
It's really important that you understand the process of our appointment. So let me say it again, and this is why Roseanne spoke about it, we're all involved in this. The number one, you as leaders, you have got the big task of identifying. So number one, you as leaders, you are identifying. Your coach is affirming. So there's accountability that you're discussing with them. And then we, as the office, as the life group officer, we are now appointing. And just with regards to leadership and understanding there, leadership is not a ladder. Sometimes we get caught into that maybe because I'm a co-leader, then I'll go from a co-leader to a leader. And that happens often, and that's encouraging, and it's really a great thing. But sometimes it's not always like it. Sometimes co-leaders are good co-leaders, and that's where we want them today. Sometimes people take a step back from leading. That's not a regression. That's people maybe saying, you know what, I've been serving in this area and for a while, and maybe I'm not finding as much purposes, and I'm not making a meaningful contribution. I need to do something else. That's fine. Sometimes we step back for a season because we want to explore other serving opportunities. Can I encourage you, chat with your leader, chat with your coach, but also keep us informed, keep us in the loop of what's happening. This helps us to consider what's happening in your group. Because as you heard, there are 600 people in group. There's a lot of movement of people. It helps us to understand what is happening, but then also it helps give your coach some options across the group. See, a leader stepping back might also mean that we have to rethink a strategy that we might have had or your coach might have had. So what am I asking? Please communicate. We've been saying this, that clear is kind. And so just like we want to take this process to talk about how our appointment process of leaders, we've been very clear in our communication is because it's actually being kind. We want you to do the same with us as the Life Group office.
And it's keeping that big picture in mind. And the better our information is and the better we plan, we able to actually help things grow, and we can actually put things in motion for the future. So just by way of an example, if we've got 37 people doing Discipleship 101, it's fairly likely that we're probably going to have 3 groups coming out of that Discipleship 101 class. And then we would also have an idea of the age and gender of those people. And we could have a pretty good idea
Yeah.
what kind of groups that we might like to offer them. And that would mean that if it's 3 groups and we've got this sort of composition, we can plan for that. We might then start tapping a few people on the shoulders to say, would you consider
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
And that really means that as the coaches start engaging, we are able to set things in motion to be able to receive those people that are finishing up with Discipleship 101. So it once again emphasizes the importance of point number 2,
Yep.
admin. So practically, we actually just need to make sure that we're on the same page before the end of the school term, so that as we go into the beginning of the 4th quarter, we know who's in your group,
Yeah.
we know where you're at. So we, in our quarterly report, are actually going to ask you to give us some feedback on those kinds of things so that we really can move forward most effectively. So we've covered a lot of detail, I know, but we've covered in summary 4 things. We've given you some updates. We've spoken about admin. But the most important things that we really wanted to emphasize today are clearer processes for group allocation and for leader movements. So that's really, in a nutshell, what it today has been about.
And really the heart, because when we spoke about this, we were like, do we call another meeting? And just realizing that everyone's schedules, it's insane. But then just to pop something down on a mail, it's also fine. And that's a good form of communication. But we wanted you to hear our heart behind some of these things that we're implementing. We're not just wanting to add more stuff to people's plates, but also recognizing and acknowledging that God is doing something within our church. It's evident in the growth within groups, people allocating. And I think the heart, and really even trusting for next year's vision and what God is doing, is saying we need to be able to scale for growth. We can't just do things how we've always done it. If we want to see what God is doing, and also recognizing that the harvest is now.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be caught off guard and saying, oh, we can't do this or we can't do that. And so this is about saying, Lord, we want to be ready for what you want to do next. And so in closing, as we come to the 4th quarter, please prayerfully consider. Say, God, what are you doing? How are we going to end our group? What does this look like for next year? Start already considering what God is doing and what he could be potentially doing in our group. And I think from my heart, Roseanne's heart, our life group office, we're incredibly grateful for you as leaders. I'm incredibly grateful for you as our coaches that have stepped into this role. And I really am believing for what God is going to do and the much more that's going to happen. And I'm trusting that this space has been helpful for you. Please give us a feedback to say whether it's been helpful or not. We want to make sure that we keep trying to do new things. And just let's keep trusting and believing that God is going to continue doing the work within groups as we believe that we love God and we love people as we do life together. But that's it from us.
Thank you.
God bless you guys. Yeah, thank you. Roseanne had it on a script to do at the end, so I'll say she has to do it.
There we go.
Okay, bye. God bless.